Oh, okay, yeah, do that if you haven't.
Going live, it says. You're live. Hello, everybody. If someone is watching their computer right now, if you could text
Ooh, she's
or
got it. You gotta
chat
change
something.
something. What to
Yeah.
change with the top chat, Angela?
Angela, are you there?
I'm here still, yeah. So now make sure you go on top chat and change it to live chat, because otherwise it's only gonna bring up like the newest thing, and you
Live
won't see
chat.
everybody's stuff.
Okay, we're on live chat.
Yep, that should be good then. Just watch the chat, and then when you're all done later, you can click back into the OBS one and just hit end
Just
stream.
end stream. Okay.
Yep,
All right.
that should be it.
All right. Thank you, Angela.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
All
I
right.
think it's more.
You too. Bye-bye.
I didn't know he left this one at the house, so I grabbed it.
There you go.
Yeah, he's taking over now. Takes over.
If let me try you too.
Is he working on his own? Is he an intern? That's just,
Taking over the bumper that he worked for. So, I mean, it's just a couple guys, but he just got hired a few years back. So.
good for him. Good, congratulations. What's Karen doing? Is she still practicing?
Yeah, but she's at home, you know, she practices at home, so she's,
And your mom's
Village
still
of
kicking?
Walton. Here we go.
God bless her. Good for her.
There's us. We're on YouTube and it's streaming.
There you go. Awesome.
So you guys got it?
Uh-huh.
Techno whiz?
Yeah, it's streaming.
we're good?
That's spelled T-E-C-H-N-O. Techno whiz. No.
Milan said video is good. Thank you, Milan.
Milan.
I'm sorry. Milan is a place in Italy.
That's right. Milan.
Michelle Velk is
And
here.
there's
Thank you,
Milan.
Michelle.
In Western Ohio. I called it Milan and they chewed me out. It's Milan
Right.
in Ohio.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They're real
Really?
picky about that.
That's like Worcester.
There's a lot of people in like if Medina makes the news, national news for some reason, they pronounce it Medina. They don't know how to pronounce it.
Well, Lancaster, Ohio. They say Lancaster.
Oh, yeah.
So we would say Lancaster down here.
All right. So here, you want me to move this
Yeah,
kind
just
of?
turn it this way so I can see.
Worcester, we would say Worcester down Worcester.
Worcestershire?
Yeah.
Like I met someone from Oregon and they called it
Mr. Ray?
Oregon.
Yeah.
And this girl said it's Oregon. I'm like, okay.
Lancaster, I remember that. Oh, no.
Just me and you, Ray, over here.
That's good.
Just you.
Spread out.
Angela won't make it, can't make it
All
tonight,
right.
unfortunately.
Hi. We are, Mayor, we are on streaming live,
Okay, very good.
and the chat is working.
Thank
Oh,
you.
good so far.
There you go, young lady.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Just like the teacher's pet here. Pass out the papers. Okay.
How soon are you gonna start?
Jennifer, you're gonna keep an eye on the chat?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Happy New Year, everybody out there.
I'm gonna run out. We have to go.
Yep, go ahead, you got 60 seconds.
Fred ran out to get his.
Can't go by that guy.
Gotta run.
Well, we fix it, it just doesn't do a good job of keeping track. It loses time pretty quickly. But we can wait for that one, either one. They're only a couple minutes apart. So. Well, it seems like our winter's gonna be rolling in here.
Yeah.
Those plow guys work a little, huh?
Yeah, gosh.
Were we supposed to get much snow? I didn't see.
No. Winds, high
Just
winds.
cold, high winds tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. High winds.
Looks like I'm gonna leave, Thursday morning. I gotta be, give a check ride Thursday night in the simulator. So, but I gotta watch the flights because they're canceling,
Yeah.
So,
Have you guys canceled a lot of them?
I don't really know, I haven't paid, really, since I've been home, I don't pay attention too much to doing other things.
Somebody's got a cell phone, your guys' cell phones might be too close, you might wanna back them off a little bit, we get interference.
Brian, Milan says, since he operates full airplane fulls of people, I trust that the live stream will go just fine.
No, don't trust that. Oh, you know what happened
I would
last time
agree with
tried
you.
it?
Where do you have to go?
He's all right, we'll wait a couple minutes.
Not my favorite pen.
You're still riding, you got a long season for riding.
22, I gotta remember to write that.
Did you get locked out, Fred?
We got the new car.
Yeah, I saw that, you posted.
Yep, all the locks have been changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, this helps when you can see.
Yeah.
Like tomorrow, I'm going to get out something tomorrow, primarily.
We'll wait for
I
that.
read this,
Yeah.
I read over this already, so I read this.
But today,
Donna brought me this yesterday, so.
37 degrees.
Heard it yesterday.
So to a couple of times.
No, I'm riding 37, but it was like, it wasn't motivated. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll do this, I'll do it tomorrow. It's still 37, 40. No problem. Yeah. So if I get one or two, now I'm doing this from now to March, if I get one, we'll do. I'm happy.
Would you be okay with safety and insurance?
Well, I'll stay in there. I don't have to pay
I
that.
know.
Do you want to be chair?
Rick can be chair if you want.
And he wants to take over.
Let me grab my,
Okay.
do you have your
Yeah, I was very much.
special council meeting with you?
Or something.
I made copies of that. Oh, never mind, I got it. I got it. It was hiding from me. I thought I had it because I put everything together.
Perfect.
All right.
Because he said we're going to work in.
Everybody ready?
So I think that would work out well.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Committee of the Whole meeting of Tuesday, January 4th, 2022 at 7:01 p.m. Okay, Angela isn't here tonight, so I will do the roll call and any other things that Clerk of Council would do. Second item, roll call. Jennifer Allen.
Here.
Mary Brenner Miller.
Here.
Fred Nielsen.
Here.
Raymond Whedon.
Present.
And Brian Spitzenagel.
Here.
All of council here, along with our law solicitor, John Montello, and myself, the mayor. Okay. Does council have any comments related to the agenda items? Do any residents have any comments related to the agenda items? Yes, come on up, Sean, and give your name and you know the spiel.
Good evening, Sean
Good evening.
McCormick, 18850 Alexander Road. Somewhat related to the agenda items, I am speaking on behalf of the lake and as being the current president in reference to the Parker program. And I know things are probably planning for the next summer already. Some of the concerns that I had about last summer were specifically related to the staffing of the Parker program, the adult supervision, pickup procedures that happened last summer, or just the big ones. And, you know, as we step forward into 2022, you know, I would like to see those things tightened up to make the program better, at least for the lake and for the membership. Specifically, parents shouldn't be allowed to pick up their kids from the lake. It creates problems, as they were just staying, kind of a go-to for the program. Who do I get to call on the carpet if there's issues or things that need to be changed? And then really specifically adult supervision. I think, with a bunch of kids, managing a bunch of kids, there needs to be a bigger kid in the mix, kind of calling all the shots, overseeing what happens, and holding the counselors accountable. I mean, in my business, I have a bunch of PCAs and even LPNs that are not in their teens that I have to hold accountable on a daily basis. So, a counselor position is definitely an entry level. It needs training, it needs guidance. How can we, kind of move forward and tighten that up? So I'd love to be involved in any discussions on any level moving forward as we step into the next year.
Well, I will answer all your questions.
Sweet.
I wish it would have been brought up before the contract, okay? The employees I manage, okay? When we put out applications, we do just get students and college students, okay? It's very hard for us to get adults. So if there's an issue with that, we'll definitely have to relook at the contract and see if we'll be able to accommodate that. Simple as that. We haven't changed anything that we've been doing for my 18 years of renewing that contract. So it's a little disappointing that it comes up in a council meeting. No one's called me. No one's talked to me in the past. Have you talked to Natalie, the recreation director?
I have.
Okay, so she's aware of this? Okay, so that this was, okay, I'll talk to her, but I'll be glad to sit down and have a meeting, we can talk about it, but we'll go from there. It's not very easy getting employees, as you know, getting lifeguards. I'm sure you'd love to have all adult lifeguards.
No, I wouldn't expect adult lifeguards.
I'm not going to debate it, I'm just making a point, but we'll look into it, okay?
Yeah, okay.
All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
If anybody else has any comments related to that, you're more than welcome, or any residents. And the reason I say that, Sean, because like anything, Lake Club has issues, we'd have issues, and we've had issues last year that I shared with you, and those are things, when we get closer and we get a person in that position. We don't have an assistant rec director right now. I was going to set up a meeting and we would discuss those issues. I don't think on the public floor here is to discuss those issues. Those are something we work out when it comes to employees. Okay. Any comments from residents related to that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we had
Yes.
resident Rochelle D. said, I echo the same concerns Sean brought up. The lake is such a gem, would be so wonderful to see some of the changes mentioned. Another one, Michelle Velk, says, I've also witnessed days at the lake where adult supervision was desperately needed. One adult is not enough for all of those children.
Well, we didn't have just, well, I'm not going to get into that. Any other questions related to the agenda items? Okay, item 4, motion to elect council president. I'll let council do that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to instill Ms. Jennifer Allen as council president for the 2022 year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Fred Nielsen. Vote on the motion. Jennifer Allen.
Sure.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
All right, you can vote for yourself. Mary Brenner Miller.
Yes.
Okay, Fred Nielsen.
Yes.
Raymond Whedon.
Yes.
Brian Spitznagel.
Yes.
Jennifer, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Any questions from the residents? Any questions from,
I'm not here so far.
okay. All right, next item, number 5, discussion of council committees.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I have talked to, I think, just about everybody. And the changes that I would propose, as long as everyone is fine with that, would be economic development, that Fred would take over that as the chair.
Okay.
Information, Brian would remain on as the chair.
Okay.
Infrastructure, Councilman Whedon would become the chair.
Okay.
I was willing to take on 2 myself, but Mary Brunner said that she would take on safety and insurance as the chair, correct?
Okay.
And recreation and community life, I discussed with Councilman Spitznagel, and he said he would be happy to take that on as well, because he feels that recreation and information go hand in hand.
That's great. Okay.
And then I would head finance and be included on all of the committees. Where we are left, though, is with an opening on economic development. No, because we would have Fred, and then we would have Raymond and Mary there. As long as you wanted to remain on there, Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And Councilman Whedon, are you fine remaining on that committee?
Yes.
Okay,
All right, so let's just go through them. So, committee of the wholes, everybody, we'll go through from this sheet.
sure.
Economic development, you got Fred as chair, and then Ray staying on?
Yes.
Okay, and then who's the addition?
Mary would stay on there also. Mary was
This way
chair.
we can get it in the journal too and stuff.
Right.
Okay, information. we
Well,
got-
information, we have Councilman Spitznagel as chair and myself. There is an open spot, so let's come back to that one.
Okay,
Actually, we would need to fill out each one.
Yeah, also infrastructure.
Yeah, because we need somebody else. Well, no, infrastructure would be fine. No, infrastructure, we still need another one.
Right.
So we have an opening for information, an opening on infrastructure, an opening on recreation. No, yes.
Mr. Mayor,
yes,
I will stay on the infrastructure committee. If
okay.
that's acceptable.
That's up to council here, to your body.
Yes.
Acceptable to the
Please.
chair
Mhm.
of the committee.
Jennifer?
Is there anybody else that,
Yeah, I would take on recreation with Brian.
okay. So
And-
Fred's going to be on recreation with Brian and Mary. Brian would be the chair of the recreation committee.
And Mr. Mayor and Jennifer, I'll join Raymond and Brian on the infrastructure committee,
Perfect, thank you.
if they're okay with that.
Yes.
So we-
Information, right? Do we need one more for information?
Safety and insurance.
And one for safety, right?
I'll go on safety and insurance, Jennifer, you want? me?
Sure, that would be great.
Okay.
No, we have 3
Well,
there
we have
now.
Oh, yeah.
3, we
Okay.
have 3.
Oh, who do you
of
get?
them,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Mary.
because Raymond's on there too, so,
Okay,
So
Jennifer, Mary, and myself.
yes.
Okay.
so you're just keeping it with Jennifer, Raymond, okay.
So we would need
Jennifer?
information.
I'm on 4.
Raymond's on, Councilman Whedon is on 3 already. So, Councilman Nielsen, would you like to join us on information?
I'll sure give it a shot.
Okay. We just give it all to Brian anyway to do.
I'm gonna tell you what, he's magic with that computer. He's good.
There you go. All right, we'll go through them again. You want to
Sure.
go through them, Jennifer, so I
Sure,
can bring them
certainly.
down, we get them straight here.
We'll start with Economic Development. We have Councilman Fred Nielsen as chair,
Okay?
with Councilman Whedon and Councilwoman Mary Brenner Miller.
Okay.
The Information Committee, Councilman Spitznagel is staying as chair, with Councilman Nielsen and myself.
Gotcha.
Infrastructure, we have Councilman Whedon as chair, with Councilwoman Mary Brenner Miller and Councilman Spitznagel. Recreation and Community Life, we have Councilman Spitznagel as chair, with Councilwoman Mary Brenner Miller and Councilman Nielsen.
Okay.
And then Safety Insurance, Councilwoman Brenner Miller is chair, with myself and Councilman Whedon.
And then everybody's on finance, and you chair that. Okay. I think that's it. Everybody's good with that?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll post those in our journal for February. Let's see what we got going on here.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Before we go any further with that, since we do have these committees, I would like to ask the Safety Committee and the Rec Committee to schedule as soon as possible some meetings. There's a few things I'd like to discuss with safety in regards to possible bond money that we could get for our jail, and whether that's something we want to look into doing or not. And the Rec Committee, there are several things that I'd like to have the Rec Committee discuss, and we started to touch on them at the end of the year. One of them is our event center, and how we're going to move forward with that, and changes in costs possibly. Our Parker program, we're also going to need to look at hiring somebody for the Parker program, and we have to get that done a lot sooner rather than later. And there are some further changes with the Parker program I'd like to talk to everyone about also. So I think some concerns that people may have, as in Ms. McCormick, we can start addressing also, but just with future plans of that.
And just to make very clear, when it comes to the hiring and the placement, that is not the committee's, that's not council's thing, it's a legislation and appropriating for it.
Right.
That falls under the administration, the director of the department, and I oversee that. That's all in 260.
Right.
I just want to make it clear.
Yeah, oh yeah,
to the
no,
res-
no.
I mean, there's,
No,
I
we
take,
need
I
to-
take your advice, and I listen to the council, and that's where we're here to work, but the decisions still, hiring fall with the directors of the position, the police chief with his department, Mr. Calman with his department, and approval of the mayor.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Just so
we-
everybody understands the body and how it works.
Certainly, no, I just want to get it, that we need to get moving with getting,
I
and I
understand.
don't want to get into everything
I
of my
understand
ideas
fully.
with the rec committee, but, or rec department, but
I think it's great.
I think we just need
it's great
to-
you're having a meeting.
get it moving.
I agree. I asked to have recreation meetings from the former chairman, and it didn't move as fast, so I'm glad to see that change. So good. Good, good. I will be in attendance. On that subject, I did receive an email from a resident, and this resident is asking for a meeting with the finance committee, is how it's worded, to discuss the event center. But I think that's up to you to decide. I'll give you guys the email, since they're your committees. Decide whether you want to have it in a finance or a COW meeting, or a recreation meeting. I'll share the email with you. That's why I figured that I would address that tonight. So that way you can have an open meeting and anybody can come. You can have as many people as you want. That's probably the best way to have it posted. And maybe more people want to come, that's in the email.
It's in regards to the event center?
Yes.
Okay, well, just offhand, I would think that would fall under more the rec department, but we would have to see and stuff to.
Right. I will send you the copy of the email. It's public record, and you can decide how you want to address it.
Okay.
So that will work very good. Okay.
Mayor Colgraf.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question for Ms. Allen. As it relates to the meetings that you want to happen, the committee meetings that you are recommending, you have any thoughts on how, what the approach should be? Should committee meetings be, a separate time, or like an hour before a council or COW, or in place of a COW? Any thoughts on if we're going to do committee meetings on a regular basis, not just rec and safety, but other committees? Any thoughts on how we should structure them?
Yes, thank you, Councilman Whedon. One of my thoughts was, and I do want to discuss with everybody, maybe taking our first meeting of the month as a committee meeting, a specific committee meeting, because some of these committees, I mean, honestly, for a rec meeting, I think we're going to need a couple of hours or a couple of meetings in a row to get through the stuff that we need to. Some of the other committees, we may not have to. So if we're anticipating a longer one, but I would like to know everybody's opinion that instead of a COW meeting the first of the month, we would do a committee meeting. The second week of the month, we could do our COW meeting. And then the third week would be our council meeting. Now, I know, Councilman Whedon, you brought up the possibility of doing 2 council meetings a month, just so we have more time. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Mayor Colgraf and members of council, I had some conversation with Councilwoman Allen about instead of the 2 COW meetings, and then sometime we have a special council meeting, that if we were planned to have more regular council meetings, maybe the first and the third, when we are in our normal legislative considerations, our first, second, and third readings go a lot faster, because you have 2 meetings a month in order to do that, and so you have a lot more opportunity to actually vote on legislation and lessen the possibility of actually having to call a special council meeting. So it's just something I want to just throw out, and I think you all were in that mode once before. I think someone had mentioned that to me over the years. You guys had council had operated like that. So just wanted to throw that out there as part of a early year conversation.
As far as from my seat here, whatever you guys decide and whatever you feel works best, and you can always change it if you don't like it. I know myself and probably Brian and maybe Mary a little bit, we've seen it all ways. Mm-hmm. We've had separate committee meetings that were, sometimes we could have 2-3 committee meetings a month. You could see, we've had all different. Then we started putting them in the thing. I don't know, you want to try 2 council meetings? I'm good with whatever you want to do. And if it becomes ineffective, then we'll just talk about it and say, hey, we're not getting our legislation out there, we're not getting things done. The one reason we have special council meetings is because it was ruled by our former law solicitor that we can't go into executive session from a COW meeting, okay? Mm-hmm. So because we have an executive session, we have to adjourn into the executive session from a special council meeting. Years ago, we used to adjourn into an executive session from a committee of the whole meeting, but then it was ruled, and following Mr. Montello's thing too, he felt the same way. Some communities do it one way, some communities do it another way, but you'll never go wrong doing it from a council meeting. So that's why we just to kind of explain to the residents and the residents listening. So we have a special meeting for the purpose of going like tonight. We really have nothing on there, but we can't adjourn into an executive session from a committee of the whole, so we had to do the special council meeting. That's the reason. So whatever you guys decide to do, and like I said, you can change it. I'm fine with either way. Whatever makes you guys feel works better for you.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor?
Yeah,
Yes.
I want to make it.
issue I have with having 2 council meetings a month scheduled as opposed to if we need one and having a special meeting. The COW meetings are where we do our work. The council meetings are technically, we're supposed to come in here and vote, and that's it. It is not a working session. So if we need, there are plenty of times in the past that I can recall, we needed more than one working session to deal with an issue, whether we needed more information or whatever. If we're down to 1 COW meeting per month, we have to wait till the next month to do our work. And then that next council meeting, there wouldn't be anything to do because we're still working on that issue. See what I mean? And especially, and Ms. Allen is correct, and Ray brought this up, and the mayor is correct also. We've seen it all different kinds of ways, years past. We broke off into committee meetings and had more committee meetings throughout the year, throughout the month. It didn't, at that time, it didn't work all that great because we ended up having a committee meeting and then we'd come back to council and rehash the entire meeting again. And I know that's not how it's supposed to work.
Right.
But, you know, the
That's what
committee's
happened.
supposed to bring their recommendation to council. Yeah, sure, a few questions here and there, and why did you decide this or do this and that? But it turned into
Another committee
completely
meeting.
redoing the whole meeting, where we finally just said, why don't we just all attend and have it done at a COW meeting? And now, like with this recreation, there's a lot of work ahead. And I've got, you know, several ideas myself on how to handle some things, and bringing residents, getting more residents involved with their wants, needs, ideas, things like that, needs assessments for the village, and then how we go about structuring them. People on the committee don't need to sit there during, like, in a COW, have the committee meeting within the COW. In my mind, whoever's not on that committee doesn't really have to sit there
Right.
and listen to all that.
Correct.
You know, they could be doing their other thing or whatever. I would, the rec meetings will be more than an hour long, probably a couple hours long at a time. You don't want marathon meetings. I don't either. Keep them efficient. But if we started earlier in the day on a Tuesday or Wednesday, from what I'm thinking is having them before the meetings at some point. Or, you know, if somebody else is having the meeting, I'm just going to have to schedule it on another day. And it'll be scheduled far enough in advance where we, you know, it won't be a spring, hey, we're going to have a meeting in 2 days, you know.
Right. Well, so would everybody, I was trying to make it where we're already used to coming in at this time. So would 5:30, would everybody be able to make it for their committee meeting on that Tuesday?
Oh, I would. I don't have any problem with that.
You know, that way we could have it before a COW meeting.
Right.
And give us some time where we're not trying to wrap up really quick, or at least have a break in between the committee meeting and the COW meeting.
Correct.
I might be a few minutes late, but I could probably make it at 5:30, yeah.
You guys set a time, and it doesn't work, you can always change it.
Right,
I mean,
right.
You're trying to,
Right.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
if
like,
we're-
You can
if
start,
there's
if
a
I'm
time-
late, I'm late.
I'm gonna tell you,
15 minutes later.
you guys, if you went past history, just remember this. If we lived it all,
Right.
we had early committee meetings from committees, and residents didn't like the idea that they were still working and couldn't make the committee meetings.
Right, and that's what I was just
That's
thinking.
another issue.
If I'm
I mean,
gonna have
if your
some
goal
residents
is
involved.
to attract more residents, then you also have to think about that.
What
And
about,
we did that. We used to have them, what, we had some meetings that, we started at 5:30 or 6. And then we started getting complaints that that was too early. Some people, by the time they get home, they couldn't make it, so we went back to the 7 o'clock, remember?
Right.
So I'm just, I mean, I don't, doesn't matter, it's up to you. I'm just gonna give you feedback of what we've, you know, you learn from some of the things we've done, and one of those things was residents felt they couldn't get to the meetings.
Right, and if, for example, the
So-
rec, if I'm having, like, for example, a resident advisory committee with, or not a committee, but some people to, let's say we want to concentrate on programming for people with young children. Of course, you know, I would have to have a meeting on an evening that I wouldn't, you know,
Sure.
to be able to accommodate that. So, you know, I just have to play that as it comes. You know, maybe have it on a Wednesday or something like that, Wednesday evening.
Maybe it will work, you know, you can try it, you can always
Well,
adjust it.
and my thought also came from this being that we've got 5 committees. Essentially, we've got 10 months in the year, so each committee would meet at least twice. Once before summer break and, you know, if we can, after summer break also, because we've got the 2 months in between. Any additional meetings that we would need, and some of the committees are going to need additional meetings.
Oh,
You know, we could schedule as is, but if we could come up with a schedule, you know, of this month, it's gonna be this committee and this committee, people could know that ahead of time. It could be on our website too,
Right.
you know, so that they would be aware. That's where my thought process for it is coming from. Obviously, there are going to be extra meetings for rec, information, infrastructure, you know, things like that, so.
Yeah, I personally think that the 5:30, if we were to meet ahead of CLW or council meeting, the 5:30 would work okay for me, and I think even for the interest of our residents that may want to attend, you know, nobody can make every meeting, but the further out ahead we are in our planning and notification giving, if, you know, if a resident knows, you know, February or whatever that date is, you know, perhaps they may be able to make accommodations to be able to, you know, be able to attend in person or via the live stream, as long as that's
Right.
working. So
Yeah.
That's
that
the advantage we
notification,
didn't have before, right?
and that notification and the new technology should be able to help us to be more efficient, more
Definitely.
effective, and inclusive with our residents.
Yeah, that was a difference we didn't have before, so we didn't have that option, you know, so that is nice, because, you know, you could watch it while you're doing almost anything on your phone even, or go back and look at it.
Just not while you're driving home from work, though.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Mayor?
Yes.
One more thing about, and Councilman Whedon brought up a point about, you know, getting legislation done quicker, you know, thing. And there's a time when you need to do that, and there's time, obviously, we use the suspension of the rules. I would just caution that with, that be tempered, because the 3 reading rule, what we do is meant to give residents time in which to look at what we're proposing and to have them have time to come up and either agree with us, voice their opinion, or disagree with us and why. So I think that's a very valuable thing that we need to keep in mind, and as we're talking about it, that, you know, residents aren't available at the spur of the moment. I'm not usually, you know what I mean? So I would caution that we don't take that away. And we usually give the 3 months. Sometimes, obviously, we do, like I said, we do have to suspend the rules because something has to be done right away. But that's why that is in place.
Let's look at something here.
You know what, Mr. Mayor, I would say, I don't believe that Councilman Whedon wants to take away any of that
Oh,
time.
I didn't mean it. If
But-
that came
no, no.
off like that, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, no.
No,
But I think what he's doing is too, instead of taking that from a 3-month period, and now we're making it into a month and a half. Is that too short?
Well, that month and a half might turn into 3 months, because in that month and a half, we only have one COW to talk about it. Right? If we're proposing to have 2 council meetings in a month, that's only one COW. So if we need more information on something, then it's got to wait till the next month. So now you're in the 3rd month anyways.
Mr. Mayor, I'm still for the way we have it set up. I think we've been on this long enough to know that it really works the best to have the 2 COWs, and sometimes on the second one, we can actually vote, if we're set up to do that. But it gives us the opportunity to work so many things out. And as you said, if we need someone in here to discuss something and explain something to us, we have that option, because it is the work session. I've seen other councils. I saw one that they had their COW for 20 minutes, and then they recessed, and then they came back and voted, and they turned it into the council meeting. And I thought, how did you have any time to think about it, research it, do anything? So I'm an advocate of leaving it the way it is, but of course I think we all need another week to think about it all too.
Oh, sure.
I mean, we're just throwing out ideas, and nobody's ideas is bad or wrong or anything, but I don't mind upping the committee meetings before the COW meeting, because we're trying to accommodate as many people as possible. But I still think the way we've got it works the best, but that's just my opinion.
I was just looking to see it, but I don't think we have anything in any resolution or anything that says anything about time, like a structured time for committees. You know what I mean? Which is nice. I mean, so you could call a committee. You don't even need to have a structure. Let's say if you're calling a committee, maybe a member can't make that day, but it works, or you have to get it done. So you can always leave that up in the air too. Maybe you can say, okay, normally they're all going to be at 6, but if you have a 5:30 one or 7, you can still do that too, if you want to make sure all members are there or something. So I don't think you have to really get too caught up in, you can see what works for you too. I think that, like you said, the committee of the whole and the council meeting, that has to be more structured, because we post that too, and residents, that's up. So whatever you guys want to decide, what do you want to do?
Well, Mayor Colgraf, members of council, I'll just, if staying with the 2 committee of the wholes works best, and then the scheduling of a periodic on a rotational basis of the various committees at 5:30, and the way President Allen has put it, that provides us with the opportunity to each committee to be scheduled for 2 meetings a year. Of course, there still may be need for other meetings of individual committees. I think it goes a long ways toward effective government, and for our residents to know, here's the schedule, here is how our, we can plan ahead of time. If I have an interest in safety or information or rec, I know now that it's going to be on August, before the COW in August is when I have time to plan for it. I think that goes a long way toward effective government and good relations with our residents. And just setting a time, 5:30, if that's what it's going to be, setting a date, and we all know what that is. I think it just helps us all down the road.
Sounds good. Whatever you guys decide.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
We did have, as Mr. Whedon said, piggybacking off of him, we used to have that schedule that we rotated. And that, you know, we could put something together, or you could put something together, whatever your pleasure is, who's gonna meet on this first day of the month, the second day, or whatever that schedule is. And then, you know, for example, for the rec, I know I'm gonna have to meet more than that, so that will be, you know, the one day, and then I'll have to have other meetings on other days, you know, of the month or whatever, just have more. But they know that there's at least one meeting on that day, you know, for the year. However you wanna work it.
Yeah, if you guys are okay with that before the first COW meeting, or if you want to think about it some more, I mean, let me know now, and we can continue to talk about it next week. But otherwise, I can start to put together, you know, a schedule just so we know each month, starting in February. I would kind of like finance to be quarterly.
Right.
So that would probably be, I would propose maybe quarterly finance meeting, the second COW meeting, you know, of the month. Just to keep us in line each quarter, you know, I mean, we will get the monthly reports, but I think going over that,
Yeah, so.
you know, publicly each quarter is good.
I did that, yeah, that was a good thing.
Very good.
Right. So, and I don't want that to interfere necessarily with anybody else's, you know, with the first COW meeting of the month, so. And if you guys want to email me, or you want to talk about it some more next week? Do we want to go with?
I would say put that, my suggestion would just be put that together like
Right.
that, and take a look at it.
Okay.
It should be okay.
All right.
Right?
Works for me.
Yeah, put the schedule together. That would be fun.
All right, great.
I mean, it's always open to change.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always open, I mean.
Yeah, we can
Something
always
happens
move
that-
around for anybody.
Right, I mean, it's,
That
Good.
works.
All right. Any questions on the discussion on council committees from the residents? Whether here or online?
Nothing online.
Okay. Anybody before we move on? Okay. Item 6 is legislation. There is 4 pieces of legislation on there. There's Mr. Kalman, Street Commissioner, Natalie Buck, Recreation Community Life Director, Chagrin Valley Engineering. Internet auction, that is something we pass every year. Gives us the piece of legislation so we can put our property that we don't use on the internet and sell it. I do have those 2 positions for the executive session, along with economic development. I will say that I'd like to renew all the contracts here, all 3, which is Mr. Kalman's, Natalie Buck, and Chagrin Valley Engineering. Chagrin Valley Engineering, well, we'll go right through them. I don't want to skip it through the agenda. Does anybody want to talk about resolution? And I'll probably have these on the next COW meeting also, and then legislation, if everybody's okay for our council meeting. Does anybody want to talk about item A, which is the street commissioner? Like I said, I do have to discuss in executive session.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
My only issue with the resolution for item A, our street commissioner, is that it saddens me that we're statutory and we have to do this every year. I just don't feel it's fair to some of our employees to have to wait, you know, to know if they're going to be keeping their job or not. I am all for Mr. Kalman as street commissioner. I think he's done a fabulous job. He's always going above and beyond with anything, as is the whole service department.
Mr. Mayor, we went through that, why we couldn't change it.
Right.
That's beyond our kind of
Right,
out
we
of our
wanted,
hands.
just for, Jennifer touched on it, we wanted to extend contracts so it wouldn't come up every year, but because we are a statutory village and don't have a charter, we follow the Ohio Revised Code, and for those positions, the Ohio Revised Code said it needs to be voted on every year. So that's why we follow those rules, because that's what we have to do.
Mayor?
Yes,
Yeah, I was all for changing it,
Yes,
so that
we all were.
sword wasn't hanging over an employee's head every single year.
Sure.
However, I think we do a good job, and the mayor does a good job. If somebody's not performing, they
They're made aware.
understand,
Yeah.
they're made aware that they're not performing. It's not nothing's a surprise, and I think the administration handles that well. So, it is what it is. We have to do it every year, but there are no surprises. Or shouldn't be.
No.
Yeah.
any questions? Any other
No.
for the residents on item A? Whether on the internet or live here? Okay. Item B, that's a resolution, one-year contract for Natalie Buck, Recreation and Community Life Director. Any questions related to that from the residents or First Council? Not the residents?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Concerning Natalie, some residents have had issues with Ms. Buck for various reasons, things like that. As chair of the Recreation Committee, I will look forward to working with her to straighten any perceived issues out, and I'm sure she's going to work to alleviate any issues that may have come up in the past with any residents' perception of the quality of, maybe the quality of work or whatever it may be. So I'm looking forward to working directly with Natalie as chair of the rec to address those. And I know those are addressed through the administration, through, the mayor's her direct boss. But just from a recreation committee standpoint, with how programming goes and things like that.
Thank you. Brian?
Mhm.
Any comments from the residents?
Mr. Mayor, Milan Verzik asks, can those positions be agreed upon before the end of the year for the coming year? And I believe he's referring to like the 3 readings being done for those positions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can suspend the rules. Yeah, those positions are done in,
I think that question is, can these resolutions be introduced, like, say, in November or December, although we can't, we won't vote on them until January? I think, is that what that resolution?
I believe so, yeah, so that we're getting the 3 readings in instead of an emergency basis.
And the employees also know in November and January what those things we're saying tonight about how we feel about Calvin, or don't know.
Right.
They already know.
right.
The answer to that
The
is
sword won't be hanging over their head.
council can put whatever they want on the agenda. This council could have put that on.
Right.
Your body here, except Mr. Nielsen who wasn't here, you guys could have put on a council, you can put on council,
Put it on June.
put it on,
Yeah.
they can put whatever they want on the agenda.
Yeah.
I'll double check.
So, I mean, we renew these contracts every year, it's in legislation. Council should be aware, that's part of the thing, knowing these contracts come up,
Right.
what you did. I think everybody here's voted on them before.
Right.
Okay, so you were aware that they were gonna be renewed this year, so yeah, next year, however you wanna do it. You could have did it this year.
Yes, and Milan Verzik specified in December of 2022, can decisions be made for January of 2023?
The answer is their contract doesn't expire. I don't know if we can vote on it, we vote on it ahead of time, but you have time. The contract commences on February 1st and ends on January. This contract here starts February 1st of 2022 and ends January 31st of 2023. So, and it's the same. So this contract here that, you know, ends the end of the January. So we'd be voting on it a few weeks before. So you could always have other meetings before that if you wanted to.
Or we would just be putting it through the readings,
Right.
which is really what we should strive to do more with regular legislation that is housekeeping items. I mean, it would just take a matter of a few minutes to read, read it.
Right.
Whatever you guys want to do with that. Okay, is everybody good with item B? Okay, we have item C, resolution 2022-3, and that's Chagrin Valley Engineering. Joe Gelati is the main principal for the village, so he is named in the contract. Even though we get all of Chagrin Valley Engineering, he is the one who represents our community. I remember last year, you guys, remember we changed that. Don Sheehy was on the legislation before. They asked us to put Joe on it. Joe's been doing our community for quite a few years, but Don was taking some communities off, and they were spreading it out over the business. So Joe is ours. We're happy about that. But you have this letter. I'll just kind of read a little bit about it. Joe put this out. The difference is they are looking for an increase. So I'll just read. Over the past 4 years, Chagrin Valley Engineering has continued to work at the rates that were established at the beginning of 2018. So they kept their rates 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021 this year at the same. We have done so in recognition of the financial challenges the village of Walton Hills has continued to work through. We appreciate that, and then he goes through it. The rate schedule is in front of us here. The hourly rates, they do show you the annualized percentage increase. It ranges for each different job that's involved when they do bill us. There is a slight increase of $1,500 for the retainer. That went from $20,500 to $22,000. That's on the bottom here. So it's very reasonable. Angela did review this, and I'm just talking to some other mayors and stuff, which they represent a lot of communities, I think 17 communities in the county. We got a pretty good contract. So I feel I'd like to retain Chagrin Valley Engineering. I think they do a great job for us. I think this is a fair increase. I don't expect them, things have all changed over 4 years. What they pay the people that work with them, especially when they go in and they use different inspectors and surveyors, their rates have gone up. So I hope council would support it, but I'm in support of it. It's up to council what they want to do. And I could have Joe, if there are any questions, he can come to the next COW meeting if you'd like to. There's no problem. He always offers himself to us if we need him for answering any questions.
Mayor, I did have one question.
Yes.
Related to the new contract and the new employee classification that was not previously listed. Does Mr. Gelati share any information on the professional traffic operations engineer? There was no existing rate for 18 through 21, but there is one for 2022, which is actually it was the third highest rate. Do you know did he share any details on what that position is all about?
No.
Okay.
But I can question it.
Please, okay.
Okay.
And the other
And I'll
question.
have, go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, the other question I would have of that is, I know there's a lot of, like, well, there were 10 or so, I didn't count them all, classifications, and the other question I would have is related to that one is, what kind of, is there an estimate of time that that position might be, a time tied to that position? And then the third question I have is that, you mentioned you talked with Angela, but these newer rates are not, factored into the 2022 budget, is that correct?
Yes, in fact, I'll make a little comment on that. When I did receive this, that was probably one of the things we told Mr. Gelati. We tell him, I wish you share that with us before the budget, similar to what my comment earlier. So he got the same comment that other outside amenities get. Should have shared it with us earlier while we were doing the budget.
Right.
So, I did express that to him, right? Didn't change much, though. Didn't say, okay, we'll put the rates back to where they are, though.
Well, it says proposed.
Right. But with that said, Angela feels we have enough built in there to cover it. So that's something she can talk about when she comes here, because I think that's your question.
Yeah.
Do we have enough room in the budget?
Correct.
And according to Angela, yes. So that's, but I'll have her explain that. Any other questions from council relating to Chagrin Valley Engineering renewal of their contract?
Mayor,
Yes.
I know last couple of years, Chagrin Valley was paid more. We had the big Dunham Road project and things like that, so that was, the engineering fees were much higher than they usually are. Maybe if Angela could take the last 6 years and just see what we paid Chagrin Valley over those 6 years, just to give us, I was looking for my latest Form 52, and it's at home.
I think
But,
I might have, go ahead.
That would give us an idea of, how much we've paid them yearly, and with these, again, last year, the Dunham Road project being exorbitant, we can at least have a better educated guess on the, these percentage rate increases, what we're gonna end up paying them this year. You know what I mean?
Mr. Mayor, a lot of those fees were, part of the project, we got reimbursed
Exactly.
for those, that was part of the loan.
Right.
So
They were built in that they paid.
and a lot of their fees, even for like plan review, are usually paid by the applicant, so it's,
Right.
so we try to recover those costs as best we can, either through grants or not grants or whatever, or the applicant. So I don't think it'll, maybe with this new purchase up at the corner, that might increase some of the fees there, but obviously we'll try to build that into whatever fee we charge them.
And I know that since I've been here, Chagrin Valley Engineering has gone above and beyond, and they've always been honest and straightforward, and just, we can count on them for their expertise and professionalism. And in billing, they don't nickel and dime us. When we've
I
been
would
nickel
agree.
and dime before by other professionals,
And if I'm not mistaken, like all our contracts that we've worked over the years putting in, we have an exit clause with them. Let me think what I thought I've seen it somewhere here. Not that we ever needed to exercise it.
Just gave no section 5.
Yeah. Yeah, there is section 5, 60-day notice by either party, we can break the contract, so. That is in there. Any questions related to item C? 2022-3 Chagrin Valley Engineering. I got those questions, I'll get those to you, I'll have Joe send them email or whatever, and that way you can look at them before, but definitely I'll have them for the COW meeting. But he's pretty good, he'll probably put out an email and I can just forward it to you. And then I can have Angela and Brian do the comparison.
Thank you.
What do you want to go back, like a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years? The 4 years from
Yeah,
18?
like 4 or 5 years,
Okay.
whatever, yeah.
Any questions from the residents?
Nothing on the internet.
Okay. Council good with that item? Item D, Resolution 2022-4, Internet Auction. Okay, that's a housekeeping item. Gives us the ability to advertise and sell our things on the internet. It's pretty straightforward. It's the same resolution we've been passing for a while.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I just believe section 1, it needs to be changed to the year 2022.
Yeah.
And I see section 5, it says 2021-4, I think we gotta change it to
Yeah.
2022. There's a couple, I just reviewed some of, we
Well-
have a lot of chat time because of the holidays. and everything.
Well,
I'll-
Also, we, as you know, Angela's been attending some other things too, so I just wanted to get it out, but that's good. We can,
Yeah,
we'll
there's-
get all those fixed.
There's 2 of them in section 5.
Yeah.
I went through all this stuff.
And even those, if they're in the thing when we pass it, they're considered, what's the fancy word you use?
We can amend it.
What do we gotta give them big here, it's just a scrivener's error.
Scriber, yeah, there you go.
It's a typo.
And so you don't have to redo the legislation.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate
Something
there.
material. Unless it's something material.
Okay. Any questions related to that? Yes, we're good on that? Anything from the residents relating to internet auction? Okay. Other business? Let me think here. Well, under other business, as you know, we did the Ford property transfer to the new owners on the 28th of December. We did post an article on our webpage, our Facebook page, did go to some of the community pages, some posted on there. There's been discussion at Akron Beacon Journal, the Cleveland.com wrote an article yesterday. It was probably the newest one. I talked to one of the editors there. Of course, Cranes had an article. Nardonia Hills will probably have one in their paper maybe Thursday. The big question people ask, what's going there? The Akron Beacon Journal, they had a preliminary drawing, but that is so old. We've seen that so long ago. And that's not even so. But who knows? They haven't come to us with anything yet. Okay, we are having some discussion tonight in executive session about that property. But as far as they haven't presented any plans to us, as far as the Planning Commission or the city, so it's really in an early on stages. There is still some cleanup that is going to take place there, which is a benefit for all of us in the village for that property too. But it's very positive. They're all 3 good companies, very capable of even doing the project individually, but they joined together with this project along with the Brook Park Ford property too, which they're a little bit ahead there. It's called the Innovation Center, and they already have a website for that, and they're moving along pretty good. They feel optimistic that they're going to stay within our zoning, which is a very positive thing. We've put some good zoning in place to benefit the village, to get the most payroll tax we can get for the village. And so it's exciting. It's very early on. I think that's why some of these positions, Sugar and Valley, are important to keep some continuity and some understanding of our community as we deal with the new property owners. Sugar and Valley brings a lot of experience, knows that property very well, and it's going to be instrumental in helping us navigate with the new owners. So that's an important piece of that puzzle. I want to thank council for and the administration for getting to this point. It's we've done it in a very professional manner, and we're going to continue to do it that way. And when we know more, we'll be glad to share it. But it's going to move in a good, positive direction. I think it's going to move rather quickly, from what we understand. So, that's really about it when it comes to that. That's about it. If anybody has any questions related to that, that's about the only thing I have for other business. If anybody has any questions, you're probably going to hear more as it moves forward. We're happy. I'm ecstatic. I think the council, I think the village should be happy. Ford feels very good about it too. They feel it's going to benefit our village too. That was a concern of theirs. Their brand, their name is important to them. So I hope they're right. So. Anybody else want to make any comments on that? Any comments about what I just, or anything?
Mr. Mayor, I would just say that I'm thrilled that Ford sold. I was so happy to get that phone call from you. But I do know, and I would just ask the residents to be patient with us too, because this is going to take some time. We don't know how much time yet. We really don't know that much else about it, but it's not something that's going to be up and running by the summer. So, we still need to be mindful of our budget until then. And if the residents could just please continue to be patient with us until we are finally up and running fully with that. And we can make all of the dreams that we want for our village to come true then, hopefully.
I just had one question, Mayor, and if it's, we know the three companies, or the three,
Yes.
Do they have a joint name that they use or anything, or just?
They haven't shared that with us
Okay.
yet. No, they just kind of been going in that way. They haven't put anything out, and they haven't with Brook Park either. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just to expound on what Jennifer was saying, the Twinsburg site, I think it's been close to 10 years now that they started. Since they started, they're just now finishing the last building over there now. So it takes time. So I hope they move a lot faster here. But
I'd like to christen the business next
Well,
January.
FedEx went in right away. They built that right away, but FedEx had a lot to do with that.
Mhm.
So, the last building, and they're massive buildings. I took a ride over just to, since all this discussion's been going on, and had a look, and yeah, they're big buildings, so.
Yeah, and our property's even, I feel, more desirable. That's close to a freeway access, but we have freeway access, we have railway. We're just in an ideal location. So, and it's a larger piece of property.
Yeah.
So it's,
Well, we have multiple freeways and the turnpike.
yeah, so it's really,
And a railway.
and that railway, so,
Mr. Mayor?
yes.
Just to interject something quick, I think the best thing that we did, not patting ourselves on the back, but changed through our experts that came in, the zoning on
Mr.
that.
Schmeriga.
And, the group that you're speaking with right now indicates we don't have to do anything. I'd be willing to bet that we would have had to done something. We have now up there the capability to put much more up there than what was up there as far as the types of businesses and the draws that they can draw from. So I've been asked about warehouses. Is it going to be another Amazon warehouse? And we strictly prohibited warehousing as a primary function up there. So you can have a warehouse, but it's got to be secondary to your business, in support of your business, not, have a big building with 5 people working in it. So I think it's gonna, I've got a good, turn my crystal ball on, and I've got a good feeling about this, so.
I'm hoping 22 becomes just such an exciting year. We got Smith and Obie right on the corner that purchased that property from the village. They want to expand their business. They're got a very good business there. We have a new building there. I think this is also going to spur the sale of the Our House building, which is a very nice building. And it just kind of like what's happening with Brook Park, all of a sudden, depending on what business goes there, you always have offshoots of those businesses too.
Yep.
So it's just just really a great thing. Just fantastic. I'm just grateful, and we're all going to get to experience it, and our residents, and good for the village. It's just a great thing, and so happy it happened before the end of the year. We were being told it was going to happen, and who would have thought it was going to happen just right after Christmas? A lot of times nothing happens from that Christmas to the New Year, but they wanted to get it done too. So it's, and 2 of them are local, and that's a plus too. As you know, Weston's local, and DiGeronimo's local, so it's in their backyard too, and they have pride in that too. Where Scanlon's an national company, not that they don't have things, but it's nice when an investor lives in the same county you do. Or the company is based in the same county. You want to hope to feel they have a vested interest, and I think they do. So, anything said if any more? If not, any other questions or anything? Otherwise, we can ask for a motion for adjournment.
I'd just say good job there. Put a lot of time into this.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. Well, wasn't done alone. We have an economic development person, Tom Jordan, who's been actively involved in it too, and will continue to be, and I'll need your support, and I thank you for your support as we keep moving forward. Any motion for adjournment before we
Mr.
go
Mayor?
into the special council meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the COW meeting of January 4th, 2022.
Second.
8:13. I said it at 8:13.
At 8:13.
You're good. I'm throwing it in there.
Second.
Vote on the motion. Jennifer Allen,
Yes.
Mary Brenner Miller,
Yes.
Fred Nielsen,
Yes.
Raymond Whedon,
Yes.
Brian Spitznagel.
Yeah.
Okay. Meeting adjourned at 8:13 p.m. We're gonna keep it running. We'll keep so we don't. Does anybody want to take? Well, we don't have. We're going to be going in executive session. Okay. Just tell me when you're ready, Jennifer.
That's good.
Okay. I'll start the special council meeting, then I'll tell everybody what we're doing. Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to start the special council meeting of Tuesday, January 4th, 2022 at 8:14 p.m. First order of business, roll call. Jennifer Allen.
Here.
Mary Brenner Miller.
Here.
Fred Nielsen.
Here.
Raymond Whedon.
Here.
Brian Spitznagel.
Here.
Okay. All council present, along with our law solicitor, John Montello, myself, the mayor. Just for residents that are here and the residents watching or anybody else, we are going to ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss economic development, 7845 Northfield Road, and personnel, recreation director and street commissioner. After that, we will come back, reconvene, and we won't be voting on anything or talking about anything else. We're just going to come out of executive session and reconvene. You're welcome to stay or go home and watch it, whatever you decide to do. Okay. Item number 3, can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss economic development and personnel, recreation director, and street commissioner.
Second.
Second by Mr. Whedon. Vote on the motion. Jennifer Allen?
Yes.
Mary Brenner Miller?
Yes.
Fred Nielsen?
Yes.
Raymond Whedon?
Yes.
Brian Spitznagel?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passed to go into executive session. I guess you just want. Good evening, everybody.
Do it in here.
We're gonna do it.
If everybody's okay with that?
Are we going to leave this running then and just shut off the mics for right now?
We can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't want it picking up.
Well, I said we could shut the mics off
I can shut off the mic
for right now.
for right now.
Well, technically, we don't
We
have
don't
to.
have to. We could
We
just
don't have
tell
to.
everybody we're ending.
Yeah,
it.
we already ended it.
We're not gonna have any business.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm taping it with the, well, no, it doesn't matter. It's up to you guys. I just don't want anything being picked up. That's
Well, it won't be
Yeah,
if we
I'd
shut
just say
those.
end it, yeah, just,
I mean, I made the point.
would you agree with it? Because we're just gonna come out and adjourn.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
care. I'll go in. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Would you like-
Sample it one time to see if it's.
Too bad you can't pause.
Are you?
it.
Right.
Would you,
Pause it.
with that said, if you do shut it off, then we could meet in here if you feel better with the spacing. It's up to everybody. We don't necessarily
not
have to
worried
go
about
in
the
there.
spacing.
We're gonna turn it off, let's stay out here.
I just want, is it off, just
Well,
make sure it's on.
wait,
That's all.
hey, Don, the only thing is, it's much more.
Yeah, but I can close this,
Close the door.
I can close that door
About
open.
the voice on the-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah, that's, I forgot I had to close the door
you
too.
got cameras in.
All right, Brian, just hit end stream on both of these.
Brian, you're being paged.
Brian!
When Angela comes, we'll talk about what we need.
What do you need?
I said, do we just hit end stream on
Yeah,
both of
just
these?
end stream. Bye, everybody.
What I don't want to do is say something.
That's, end stream, your stream will stop immediately and you will no longer be live.
So just end, right?